everybody. This video is walking you guys through your second essay assignment. In this unit, you guys read a number of different poems by a lot of different authors from different historical eras, different movements, different areas of literature. So what you're going to do in this one is choose two poems that you guys read in this unit from two different authors. Compare and contrast those works in terms of literary analysis, and then use all the stuff that you learned in this unit, the materials from your graphic organizer, to help guide that analysis. So you guys can choose two poems which seem to naturally fit together, or you could choose to get some unexpected pairings. So this could be, for example, something like The Flea and To the Virgins would make a whole lot of sense to put together, or something on, I don't know, My Papa's Waltz and Daddy from Sylvia Plath. Those would make a lot of sense together. Or you could choose to do works that maybe don't seem to go together. For example, The Road Not Taken and To the Virgins would be interesting to put together, or Harlem and Why They Went, or The Red Wheelbarrow would be really interesting to see. So there's a lot of different ways you could pair these. Choose the ones that are of most interest to you and where you think you can make good comparative points. So think about how they're similar and different in terms of literary style or elements, things like theme or voice or imagery or structure or figures of speech and so on. Use all of the materials from the lectures and the graphic organizer to help guide your analysis, and make sure that you're really using that scholarly language related to the genre of poetry. So you need to have at least 3 sources for this one, and it has to be 3 to 4 pages in length, and it's due on Sunday, April 13th at 11:59 p.m. So what this means is that you guys are analyzing these texts through the lens of specific literary elements. So don't try to do a ton of different literary elements. What I want you to do is kind of choose your main 3 or so, and then analyze them through that lens. Now, it's really important that you don't create separate paragraphs for each author. Instead, what you should be doing is comparing and contrasting them across a certain concept. So, for example, you could do, let's do The Flea. So you could do one paragraph on the structure of, say, The Flea and To the Virgins, and how they are similar or different. Say you were doing, I don't know, I Hear America Singing and Theme for English B. You could, on your second main idea, you could then compare something like the symbolism found within each, or the rhyme scheme, or certain imagery. And then your third main idea could be around something else. So this is how you kind of break these up, and you bring both poems together across major concepts, rather than, again, separating out and having one for Theme for English B, one for I Hear America, one for English B, one for America. So that's how you create a more complex argumentative structure when you do comparing and contrasting. And like I said, make sure you're using that scholarly language from the lectures to help inform your analysis. As always, you want to bring in specific evidence that shows your audience what you're talking about. And in this case, for poems, you would bring in lines from these poems. Make sure that you're utilizing those correctly, citing those correctly. And as you're thinking about how to bring these poems together and comparing and contrasting them, think about how they connect in terms of theme or other major literary elements. How are the structures, like I said, similar and different? And then how does that actually impact the meaning? So, for example, Theme for English B has a very specific rhyme scheme or structure, or whatever it might be. How is that different than, say, Fog, which is a very short structure? And why does that change the meaning or impact the meaning? And then how do those differences and similarities between the historical situations or the author's own backgrounds impact the work? So for many of these, the author's biography and who they are and their positionality as an author is important, right? So for example, Sylvia Plath and her experiences with mental health issues are really important. Um, there's so many different ways you can kind of approach this. So think about that as well as you're looking at this. But as always, make sure you keep the focus on the literature, analyze it as a piece of literature. Don't let it become a history or biography essay. So you guys are going to be assessed making sure you have a good thesis claim in your introduction, good analysis of the works and their concepts, good evidence, like I said, from the primary and secondary sources. Again, the primary sources, you should be bringing in specific quotes from those sources that help support your claims. So these would be sources that speak to, say, a certain literary element being used in a particular poem, or it could be history.com or biography.com. To talk about those elements related to the analysis around the poem. And just make sure you're utilizing those to help add credibility to your claims. And then make sure you have proper length, MLA, number of outside sources and citations, and then a fully developed structure as always, and then good organization across ideas rather than having a section for each author. So as always, like I said, you guys can always write more. You just can't write less. If you write less, you'll have points taken off. Everything's checked for plagiarism, requires MLA, good proper citation and page length, and make sure that you include that works cited page at the end. So in this case, it should have at least five entries on it, 3 outside sources and 2 poems. So let me know if you have questions on this, but otherwise hope you guys enjoy this and go ahead and move on.